This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to a 5-part podcast series, Smart Automation for Risk Management, sponsored by LexTegrity. In this podcast series, I will be visiting with Parth Chanda, founder and CEO, president of LexTegrity, Andy Miller, chief analytic officer at LexTegrity, and Kara Onatatabas, head of product at LexTegrity. Over the series, we will look at the LexTegrity project suite, take a deep dive into continuous risk monitoring, consider pre-approvals and third-party due diligence, and integrations and the user experience. In a special bonus episode, Chanda and I will discuss the Integrity Analytics Collective initiative started by LexTegrity. In this concluding episode, which is also a special bonus episode, I visit with Parth Chanda about LexTegrity's Integrity Analytics Collective and how it's driving the use of data and data analytics forward in the compliance space. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. This week, we have run a special series with LexTegrity on the Compliance Podcast Network. Well, today we're going to have our first bonus episode for a special series. Parth and LexTegrity have partnered with several other firms to create the Integrity Analytics Collective, and we both felt like it warranted its own episode. So Parth, first of all, welcome back.
Thank you, Tom, for having me back.
So could you start out by telling us what is the Integrity Analytics Collective?
Sure. So we at LexTegrity, we launched the Integrity Analytics Collective last year in partnership with nearly a dozen partner organizations from across the world. We now have member organizations from the US, France, Brazil, including Ethisphere, Ropes and Grays Insights Lab, Frontline Bribery, Compliance for Good in France, KMN and ESG Legacy in Brazil, and others. And our ultimate goal through the Integrity Analytics Collective is really to collaborate with thought leaders to further democratize data analytics for organizations of all sizes globally.
At a 30,000-foot view, Parth, what does the collective or how does the collective work?
Sure. So the collective brings together the practitioners from those organizations that I mentioned who are real in-the-weeds practitioners. They're thought leaders in those organizations. And they bring all of us together with as well our customers who have already deployed data analytics to really share best practices and collaborate on really primarily new analyses in our risk library that then are released for the benefit of all of our customers. So we've continued to add new analyses based on feedback from the collective and from our customers. And we're even adding new risk domains, as Andy mentioned, around distributors and sales data. And so the collective is really helping us help those organizations support their clients and their customers and also support our customers. But at the same time, really kind of raise the standard of data analytics for everyone who wants access to them in more of an off-the-shelf way.
Parth, one of the themes I have heard about LexTegrity is the democratization of data. How does the collective help with that goal of LexTegrity?
Great question. So, as Kara, I think, mentioned in the last episode, we have customers with as few as 80 employees, and then we have ones with over 100,000. So we truly have built a tool we believe that suits any organization of any size in the world and really allows any organization to accelerate their data analytics as well as their automation efforts. But part of that really at its core is really building this library of advanced data analytics as well as the ability to create analytics on the fly out of the box. So previously, these types of analyses, sophisticated behavioral, statistical, policy-based analyses, or even, analytics on the fly were the province of, a handful of the very largest companies in the world who, as the inside baseball, that have all invested millions of dollars building these bespoke, large implementations with big accounting firms. Those tools, it costs a lot of money to stand up, but they also have a lot of huge ongoing costs that you don't appreciate. So if you want to change one configuration, you need to call the firm back, new SOW. If you want to update the engine with new analyses, forget about it. That's an even bigger effort. So we really approached this data analytics puzzle in a way that really could open it up to any organization. And to do that, we built this, as Andy mentioned, this no code way to have access to dozens of advanced analytics off the shelf. So the collective builds on that. So it is a ecosystem that we're creating of ethics and compliance professionals to continue to add new analyses to the platform regularly, including new risk domains. And so, there's been already a lot of work last year and this year adding new analyses, and there's going to be more to come this year.
So when you went through the list of some of your partners, it literally ranged from, as you said, fewer than 100 employees to multiple thousands of employees. But you also talked about small consulting firms, multinational law firms, nonprofits in the ethics space, and really everything in between. Why such a wide variety of partners for this initiative?
Yeah, again, we understood very early on that this is going to be a massive kind of across industry, cross ecosystem effort. So each of those partners has a different perspective on things. Some of them are focused more on the behavioral science element of ethics and compliance. Others are really focused on the forensic auditing perspective, the policy and rules-based perspective. And so we wanted to really have stakeholders from across the knowledge spectrum. And then from our customer perspective, obviously, we have all sorts of customers in different industries who add their specific kind of special insights. And then ultimately, we understood that the baseline of analytics is fairly standard. If you bring in a forensic auditor to do an investigation, they're going to have a standard tool set for fraud and corruption analytics that are fairly standard, and that's what we've really democratized. But what we understood is that configuration of those analyses is very important. If you bring in a forensic auditor to a consumer goods company to do an FCPA investigation, they're not going to use cut and paste their analytics for a life sciences firm or vice versa. Even in life sciences, as you know, a rare disease company is going to have some very different configurations and very different business models and risks than a generics manufacturer, where they may not have as heavy impact on patient engagements or advisory boards, et cetera. So the analytics engine, while the standards are fairly democratized and standard across companies, they need to be largely configurable based on the specific industry, the business model, and frankly, historical issues the company has had. Keywords and issues that the company has faced in the past. So, we really wanted to build a tool that could support that level of configuration, but at the same time, recognize that we don't know everything. We don't have understanding of every analysis that is possible. New analyses are being conceived by our partners, all the time. And most importantly, fraud, corruption schemes are changing every day. And so the analyses really have to evolve. So the idea here is really we've built a real dynamic product that can really grow over time. And that's part of our commitment to our customers, that it will grow over time, and that you won't have to really negotiate with us to add new things to the platform.
So would it be a fair assessment to say that you are going to actually take insights, best practices, and other information from your partners, incorporate it into your tools and workflow modules, and then that at the end of the day, you being LexTegrity, will have a more robust platform, but you're going to share that back with your partners or others in the compliance community?
Exactly. Yeah. So part of our mission with the collective is really to empower a lot of these expert organizations that do advisory work and provide them options to provide data analytics and automation to their clients, because they're experts in their space. And historically, they've had to go to an outside consulting firm to do that work, and we can be their partner to make that happen. But at the same time, as we take all of those learnings, those best practices, and again, we feed them right back into the product. And again, it is really a difference in model. As a software product company, we're incentivized to really have the best analytics engine around. So if any customer, partner, thought leader, in-house counsel at a company that's not a customer of ours, if they have new analytics, new ideas, new approaches that have worked for them, we want to know about them and we want them in our product, and we commit to adding them to our platform, which is, kind of what Andy mentioned, why we're, completely building this distributor sales analytics engine right now. Again, not charging anyone for it to build it or anything like that. It's additional improvement to our product. So, you don't have to execute a new SOW to get new analytics into a platform. It's kind of our commitment. So it is, again, that shared commitment to really move the needle forward for organizations in their risk management efforts and really build this thought leadership ecosystem around data analytics.
Parth, if any of our listeners wanted to become involved in the collective, have their companies involved, or simply talk to you to get more information on it, where could they go or how would they do so?
Yeah, sure. They can go to www.lextegrity.com/collective. There's a form. You could learn more about it. There's a form to fill out to contact us. Of course, you can reach out to me at any time on LinkedIn or at pchanda@lextegrity.com. And then part of the collective is, as well, Tom, I didn't mention, is also just bringing out producing resources separate and apart from our tool. We want every organization to have access to these analytics. And if they want to build these analytics, we want to enable that as well. It's not about just selling our product. So, we've launched video series called Behind the Schemes that outlines in a generic manner how you can use analyses to address risks. We've done a whole masterclass series with Ethisphere around data analytics. So part of the collective is also producing thought leadership and white papers and things like that to help companies accelerate their efforts there. So there's a whole resources page on our website with free resources as well that folks can check out.
I've looked at those resources. They're fabulous. So if our listeners have any questions, I would encourage them to check out the resource. Parth, this has been a really great, fun, and more importantly, important podcast to get the word out about the Integrity Analytics Collective, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
All right. Thanks so much, Tom.
You can learn more about LexTegrity by checking out their website, www.lextegrity.com. I hope you'll join us again for our next episode in this multi-part podcast series, Smart Automation for Risk Management, sponsored by Integrity. This special podcast series is a special production of the Compliance Podcast Network. Thanks so much for listening and look forward to visiting with you again.